Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are doing well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our compound interest assignment. So, words to remember, compound interest is interest that is earned on both the principal and any interest that has been earned previously. So when we did simple interest, that was only interest calculated on the principal. Now we're going to calculate interest on the principal and any interest that we have earned previously. So we are going to start by computing compound interest using the simple interest formula we started with a day or two ago. So if you'll walk through this example with me here, notice I've got my calculator over here on the right. Now, for now, a standard calculator is going to be fine. A little bit later, we will need to change to a scientific calculator because we'll need the exponent option, but for now, we're good with the standard. So it says Simon deposits $400 in an account that pays 3% interest compounded annually. What is the balance of Simon's account at the end of 2 years? So we remember I equals PRT to find our interest, and then we simply add back in the P or principal to find the balance. So we are going to use this example right here to find the compound interest of Simon's account, but we have to break it down year by year because every year we have to account for any interest that he accrues along the way. So let's start with I equals PRT. So we know the principal is $400 he puts into the account. He's earning 3% or 0.03, and we're going to do this 1 year at a time. So over here on my calculator, I've got 400 as the principal. I'm going to multiply that by 3% or 0.03, and let's multiply it by 1. We'll know it's the same, but that's all right. So year 1, Simon is earning $12 in interest. So now let's add that back into the principal. So he began with 400 in his account. So at the end of year 1, principal plus the interest he earned, he has $412 in his account. So here's the difference between what we did the last few days and what we're going to do moving forward. Because I have to calculate interest on this balance plus any interest. So we are going to use this $412 as our new principal moving forward for year 2. So let's go ahead and do just that. I equals PRT, remembering that P is now 412. 0.03 or 3% is going to stay the same, and we're going to do this last year, just simply multiplying 1 year at a time. So in my calculator, I'm going to put 412, multiply it by 0.03 or 3%, and multiply it by 1, which should give us the same amount. So notice I didn't earn $12 this year in interest. I earned $12.36. If your interest is not going up year after year after year, you are not calculating compound interest. So recheck your math as you do that. Look at your balance. We're going to add the principal back in. Remember, year 2 was $412. And that tells us at the end of year 2, Simon has $424.36 in his account. And again, that was compounded interest. So he earned interest on the principal plus any interest that he earned the previous years. So you are going to use the simple interest method to answer number 1 and number 2. So remember, to complete those 1 year at a time, you'll need to do it 3 times on number 1, and you'll need to do it 4 times on number 2. All right, if you will scroll down with me here, we're going to look at how to compute compound interest using the compound interest formula. So remember, I told you you would need to change your calculator. So if you're using one on Google or on your computer, there's usually a little 3-bar here where you can change it from standard to scientific. If you are using your smartphone, usually turning it sideways will turn it into a scientific calculator as long as your lock screen is off. So let's go through example number 2, and we're going to look at a new formula, but all of the variables are the same. You know all of the variables. Jackie deposits $325 into an account that pays 4.1% interest compounded annually. How much money will Jackie have in her account after 3 years? Now, if we use the simple interest method, we'd have to do this 3 different times. I'm going to show you how to use the compound interest formula so we can kind of do all of this in one step. So our new formula is A, which we know is the balance, equals P, principal, parentheses, which is going to be important because we have to do this first. So 1 is going to help us calculate the interest for each year as we move forward, plus r, which is the rate as the decimal, and 2 the exponent of t. So this is going to allow us in one simple equation to calculate however many years of interest we are compounding. So let's use the example to set up the problem. So remember, we need to start with what is in parentheses. So we've got 1 plus the rate of 4.1. And where's my percent sign? Let's see. Let me go back here because I don't see it right there in front of me. So I'm just going to put in 0.041. So in parentheses, we've got 1.041. And then I'm going to raise that to the exponent. So you need to look for the XY button because it's not always going to be squared or cubed. So x to the y. And we're going to raise that amount to the number of years, which is t, which is 3. So that's going to give me a big, long, complicated decimal here. And we're simply going to multiply that back by our principal. So 325. So that is going to give me $366.63, but we're going to look at that last place after our penny. Since it's a 6, we need to round this up to 64 cents. Remember, we are calculating money, so everything needs to be rounded to the nearest penny. All right. So you're going to use the compound interest formula to answer 3 all the way to the bottom here to number 16. Number 15, you're going to do it twice because you're going to do it for 2 individuals to figure out how much money they have at the end and who has more when they close the account. Fill in the missing words. Remember, if you need help with this, we're simply going to go back up to the top, words to remember, to find that information. Before we close out here, let me go ahead and just do one more example with you here in the calculator so you can see it. So let's look at number 3 here in the calculator. So let me clear this out. So for number 3, we've got our principal of $285, an annual rate of 1.9%, and then 6 years in time. So remember, if we did simple interest, we'd have to do this 6 times. So this one equation allows us to calculate compound interest for all 6 years. So we're going to start with the parentheses, 1, and we're going to add the rate of 0.019. So our parentheses is 1.019. And now remember, we're going to raise that to the exponent. So x to the y, and we're going to raise that to 6 years. We're going to get a very, very long decimal, so leave that in your calculator. And we're going to lastly multiply that by the principal of 285. So that's going to give me $319.07. Notice this next place is a 2, so we're going to leave that at $319.07. So hopefully this video is helpful. If it is not and you need additional help, please just contact me and let me know. And this will be your last assignment before spring break. I hope everybody has a good and safe spring break. If you need to do any catch up on Friday, please do that. And I will start posting assignments for when we return from spring break through the end of April. Be good, be safe. Miss all of you. Bye.